Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Iceberg Lounge. I'm your host, Thomas Single. Along with me is the other host, Randy Dobbins.
Hello.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about what happened last weekend in the conference championship weekend we had in college football. And also about the last CFP poll going into the playoffs. But before that, let's stop and go to our break. And after we come back, we will be talking about the MAC championship, Kent State versus Northern Illinois. Hey, this is Thomas Single from the Iceberg Lounge, and I'm here to talk to you today about Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, and guess what? It's absolutely free, which you can use right from your cell phone or computer just like I do. They even have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds amazing. They'll even distribute your podcast for you. You don't even have to do it yourself. So it can be heard everywhere, from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with minimum listenership. So why don't you download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And we're back. Okay, so let's start off with the MAC championship, which I found to probably be the least important of the championships this weekend. It was Kent State unranked versus Northern Illinois unranked. With Northern Illinois winning 41-23.
It wasn't a big game, but it was a big game for Northern Illinois because they went last season, I believe, without winning a game. So for them to turn it around and win the conference title,
Oh yeah,
pretty
that's big for that coach.
yeah, he's getting a pay raise. To be honest,
yeah. And so Northern Illinois is the MAC champ. So up next for the Conference USA Championship, we had the one-loss, unranked now, University of Texas at San Antonio versus Western Kentucky, which ended in a very tight score of 49-41, with San Antonio coming out and pulling out the win, becoming the Conference USA champ.
yeah, I didn't really honestly pay attention to that game.
Yeah, and
I checked the score periodically, but it wasn't like I wasn't really paying attention to it.
yeah, like I've been rooting for San Antonio all season. Yeah, they're a one-loss team. I don't think they should have been unranked. I feel like there's been other teams
who have one loss that
should have been unranked. Yeah, I feel like they're only unranked because they're a group of 5 team, to be honest, and that needs to change.
Oh yeah.
So we move on to the Sun Belt Championship. This will be the first championship we'll be talking about where at least one of the opponents are ranked. We had Appalachian State versus number 24 Louisiana, with Louisiana bringing home the Sun Belt with a score of 24-16.
Yeah, there's not too many conference championship games, I'm going to be honest, that I kept up with. This one, I really didn't even check the score for. I mean, to be honest.
And well, when it comes to like Louisiana, like those are one of the teams that I feel like San Antonio should have been ranked higher than.
Yeah.
Um, but Cincinnati seems like they are the chosen one from the group of five, and so I guess they didn't want to have more than one being ranked high,
Oh yeah.
which is dumb. But Louisiana is the Sun Belt champ. Now, going into the Mountain West Championship, we had number 19 San Diego State versus a unranked Utah State, with Utah State dominating San Diego State 46-13. Um a dominant win for Utah State against a ranked opponent. That'll help them next season to probably be ranked going into the season.
Probably, honestly, once preseason poll comes out, that usually comes out over the summer, leading up until August. I can see them being ranked maybe like between 20 and 25, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I could see them in between 20 or 25, or even taking San Diego State's number 19 spot.
Yeah.
Um, Up next will be for the ACC championship. How the ACC has fallen.
I have an interesting detail about this one.
Yeah, it's number 15 Pitt versus number 16 Wake Forest. This is the first conference championship where both teams are ranked. And Pitt beat Wake Forest to become ACC champ 45-21.
Pretty big win. I mean,
It looked very good for Pitt.
so what was the very interesting detail about this? And I was waiting for you to bring up this game. Was I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there was a highlight from that game from Pitt's quarterback where he faked the slide. He faked the slide and then kept running and faked out the one or two defenders
Oh wow.
and kept running. Okay, well, you know who I know you know who Stephen A. Smith is.
Yeah.
He was pissed, to be honest, because he is like that shouldn't be. He should have got a flag for that and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh really? What do you
Yeah,
think about it? Should he have?
no,
No.
like because a lot of people have been saying, well, this is how targeting happens, and I'm like, well, just because he faked a slide doesn't mean he's gonna get freaking hit in the dome. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, I think it's a fair play. And if
Yeah.
you want to sit here and tell me that him faking the slide, he should get a flag for that. Juking somebody and breaking their ankle should get a flag every time then.
Yeah.
Like, that is essentially the same thing.
Yeah, you're faking them out.
Like, literally. Like, I think it's stupid. I think it's fair game.
Yeah, I would consider that fair game. Yeah. Now they might argue, well, if he's sliding, then wouldn't he technically be down? But if he faked the slide, then he should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very interesting kind of controversy that came out of that game.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Pitt this year is your ACC champ. Like I said, how the ACC has fallen. Um, no offense to Pitt, but
Well,
all
I
right,
mean, or to Wake Forest, to be honest.
true. All right, up next we have the 10th ranked Oregon, who is the current back-to-back Pac-12 champion. They've been champion for 2 years now, or 2 seasons, versus number 17 Utah. This has been a very big day or big weekend for the state of Utah, because number 17 Utah defeated Oregon
38-10 and is your new Pac-12 champ. I've been saying this all year. Uh, Oregon's has been overrated since the season started.
They always are. To be honest.
Um,
Oh, by the way, uh, for what I can tell, and because I just googled it, this is Pitt's first uh conference title in the
well,
ACC.
congrats to Pitt.
This this is their second division title because they won their division in 2018 and won it obviously this year. But before they were in the ACC, they were in the Big 12 from 91 to 2012, which they won conference titles in the Big East in '04 and 2010. But like I said, this is their first ACC title.
Okay, okay. So what do you think about the Pac-12 title?
I had high hopes for Utah because I was thinking if Stanford could beat them,
Yeah,
you know,
and now Utah holds two conference championships in one state. So Utah as a state's coming out as a powerhouse in football somewhat.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a dominant win, 38-10. Utah is your Pac-12 champ. Now we're gonna. I call this the independent champion. The independents don't have their own conference.
Obviously.
But I feel that at least I should figure out and claim a winner of the independents as a top independent team. And so my independent champ is number 6 Notre Dame. They just have the best record of all of them, and so I would consider them the independent champion. Um, but then again, I'm just like, come on, go ahead and join the ACC.
I mean, I, you know, Notre Dame. I think if they would have joined any of the ACC, I know they have it joined because of contract.
Yeah, TV contracts.
Well, my thing is if they would have joined any year before 2020, they would have got destroyed by Clemson,
And Florida
Florida
State.
State, even people like Pitt and Wake Forest. I mean,
Yeah.
they would have honestly got put in their place and then probably backed out of being in the ACC.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because right now they can just be like, oh, we're 11-1 or whatever, and show, hey, we're not a conference champion, but we're 11-1, ranked I think number 6 or whatever, and look at us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. At the time of championship weekend, yeah, they were number 6. Yeah, Notre Dame is one of those that I feel like can be like Oregon sometimes, where they're overrated.
The three most overrated teams every year is Michigan, Notre Dame, and Oregon. If we're being honest,
Yeah.
which Michigan this year deserves the hype.
Oh yeah. So moving on to the Big 12 championship. You had number 5 Oklahoma State versus number 9 Baylor, with Baylor pulling it out and
Winning their
become.
first Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, yeah. What'd you say again, Randy?
I said winning their first Big 12 championship game.
Exactly. 21-16, knocking off Oklahoma State.
And here's
Um,
the thing: if I firmly believe that if Oklahoma State would have pulled it out and won, they would have jumped Georgia in the polls.
Um,
Because look, I know how great a season Georgia's had, right?
yeah.
But you also got to look at it like this: Georgia, at the time, if they would have won, Oklahoma State would have been a what 12-1 conference champion over a 11-1 runner up.
I will have to disagree only because I believe that Georgia deserves to stay in there.
Yeah.
And if anyone was going to get kicked out, it was going to be Cincinnati.
I can understand that.
Because I can see the committee saying we'll make more money off of Oklahoma State than Cincinnati.
Yeah, I can agree with that to a point.
Even though I disagree with it and believe Cincinnati
Deserves a spot.
deserves the spot, I can see them putting them over Cincinnati every day, and Cincinnati going to like number 5. But yeah, like you said, this is Baylor's first Big 12 championship.
They've had a big year this year. First Big 12 championship and in football, and won the national championship in basketball.
Yeah, they are starting to come in their own, and with
Honestly, with Texas and Oklahoma winning or leaving the Big 12 to the SEC, I know we've talked about this a couple of times on here, but with them leaving the Big 12, that opens up the door for teams like Baylor to become,
the new faces of it.
yeah. Because I can honestly, I'm going to call it now. Oklahoma State and Baylor will become Baylor, Oklahoma State, and TCU. I think those are going to become the three new faces of the Big 12.
I will agree with you on that. I could see them, kind of being the new pillars, keeping the Big 12 up.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, congratulations to Baylor. Up next is what I believe as the third most important game of that weekend. Number 4 Cincinnati versus number 21 Houston. Um, over the past few seasons, me and Randy both have been keeping our eyes on Houston, among other teams that we always usually pick a underdog team to root for. And Houston's been one of them. But Cincinnati comes through, becomes the AAC champion, and ends their season their main season undefeated with a score of 35-20 over Houston.
Remaining the only undefeated team in the.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that later. But up to that weekend, it was just Georgia and Cincinnati left.
So I want to, or no, I can bring this up later if you want to. I can bring this up later.
All right. So congratulations to Cincinnati. With that victory, they locked in their spot for the playoffs.
Yes.
So the second most important game, number 2 Michigan versus number 13 Iowa, who at one point was number 2 themselves, for the Big Ten championship, and Michigan killed Iowa.
They did. Honestly,
42-3.
because in my head it was either going to be a close game with I knew Iowa was going to lose, but I knew it was either going to be a close game or it's going to be a blowout.
Exactly. And so, yeah, Michigan absolutely asserted their dominance, locked in their spot for the playoff.
Yeah, they just T-posed on them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And so, Michigan State is your new Big Ten champ. And now to the main event, I feel. of the championship weekend, even though it wasn't the last game.
And honestly, this was the biggest game, probably all season.
Yeah, I would probably say it is.
To this point,
you had the undefeated, the defensive dominant number 1 Georgia Bulldogs versus the number 3 Nick Saban led Alabama. And what was a shock to the nation and to other sports talkers in the industry.
Because on the I didn't see this until after the game, but on the pre-show, all they did was talk crap about Alabama. They said that there's no way that Bama's going to beat Georgia. Georgia's going to manhandle them, and it's just going to be a blowout, and Alabama's going to hit a brick wall every time. Every play.
Even me, I said Alabama was going to lose by 20.
But I'll tell you, I am a Bama faithful. I never had doubt.
True, you never did. I was the only one out of the two of us that said Alabama was going to lose, and I even said by 20.
Yeah.
And so, as a shock, seems like throughout the nation, Alabama defeats Georgia by 20 points, 41-21. To become a 29-time Southeastern Conference champion.
Back-to-back, too.
Yeah, and back-to-back.
And they need to, if they win next year, they'll tie their own record.
Yeah, with a 3-peat.
Because only one team has done that, and that's been Alabama.
And so, now, see, Georgia coming into the game, and I told you this, I believe off podcast. Georgia had nothing to lose. Win or lose, they were going to get into the playoff. Alabama had everything to lose.
Yeah. Like, honestly, if Alabama lost, their season wouldn't have been over, but their national championship hopes would have been over.
I think they would have probably went against Oklahoma State.
In the Sugar Bowl, to be honest. Now it's Ole Miss and Baylor.
And so, with that being said, Alabama locked in their spot. Georgia, win or loss, locked in their spot. Michigan and Cincinnati locked in their spot. So let's talk about the poll that came out the next day.
Let me give you my statistic first that I'll
All right,
about.
Go ahead.
So, I saw this on Facebook yesterday, and I was waiting to save it for the podcast.
All right.
So this is a list of undefeated seasons since the year 2000, and this is from 2000 to now.
All right.
2000 Oklahoma. All right.
All right.
01 Miami. 02 Ohio State.
Okay.
04 had 3 teams. Utah, USC, and Auburn. 05 Texas. 06 Boise State. 08 Utah. 09 Alabama and Boise State. 2010 TCU and Auburn. 2012 Ohio State. 2013 Cincinnati. 2013 Florida State. So there's a big gap between then and then 2017 UCF.
Yeah. Which that's when you started seeing the AAC start rising.
Yes. 2018 Clemson, 2019 LSU, 2020 Alabama, and then obviously 2021 up until now Cincinnati.
Yep, and Cincinnati becomes the only undefeated team left in the CFP. Um and so they deserve their spot. Um if anything, I believe that they deserved a higher spot than what they were given.
Yeah. But on that from that list I just told you about, only 4 teams since the year 2000 has had an undefeated season: Utah, Auburn, Alabama, and Boise State.
Huh.
Which is weird that 2 out of the 4 is from the same conference and the same state.
So say that stat one more time.
So 4 out of that, all those teams that I told you that's been undefeated since had undefeated seasons since 2000.
Yeah.
It's Utah, Auburn, Alabama, Boise State.
That have had multiple.
No, yeah, yes, they've had at least
Okay.
two
Okay,
two
because
undefeated seasons.
yeah, because the way you said it, it sounded like you just said undefeated season, not multiple.
Yes, they've all had combined. Let me see, 2 each,
Okay, well that's interesting.
and 2 are from the same conference, which is astounding. But what's even more astounding is that they're from the same state,
Yeah, same state, same division,
same
which
conference.
you would say in the 2000s up to where we are 20 years in, those are probably the 4 most dominant teams then, you would say?
Mm, I wouldn't say that.
But they had multiple undefeated seasons.
Yes, but the reason why I say they're not dominant is I would have to say they would have to have more than 2 because they're not in like back to back.
Yeah, because if you put them all together, they only cover 8 years of 20. Yeah, you got a point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you got a point.
since 2000. Okay, so Saban's been here since 2007, right?
Yeah,
Would you say he's the most dominant coach in college football?
I would say in the 2000s, yes.
But see, here's the thing: he's at Alabama. He's only had 2 undefeated seasons. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
To
yeah,
me,
I got you.
dominance does just because you have an undefeated season. To me, doesn't mean you've been dominant. It's just to me, you just won a lot of games. If you want to like to me to be dominant, you would have to have more than 2, and then even then, like 2 back to back, I would then say, okay, you're dominant.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I agree with that.
After the second undefeated season, I would start to look at you as, hey, this team is dominant.
Yeah, which you could say UCF was.
Yes, because look at like I was saying, look at Saban. He's probably one of the most dominant coaches we've had in a long time, and he's only had 2 at Bama.
True.
And look how
Um,
many championships he's won.
true. And just saying this, even though I believe he's already the best coach Alabama's ever had, if he wins this year, there is no doubt to you, Randy.
Wait, how many has he won at Alabama?
He is tied with Bear.
Wait, how many has he won?
6.
Bear has 7.
No, wait. I think he's
6.
tied at 7. Hold on.
Bear has 6 as a coach, 1 as a player.
No. If you can count him as a player, then you can count Nick Saban as the LSU head coach.
But Bears was at Alabama when he was a player.
That doesn't count.
Does it not? Does it not count? Does that not count?
I feel LSU as him being a head coach because we're talking about head coaching.
Okay. then I would say yes.
Okay, because if we count as
Oh,
a
see,
player, then I need to go back and see Nick Saban's past on stuff. Then
see, I will say this: do what does overall his at LSU count? Yeah, but the reason I say it won't matter until he wins another one is because Bear won 6 at one school.
yes, but I also would throw in the Heisman winners for Saban.
True. Which Saban I think's only had 2. No, wait, 3.
But he's the only coach to ever do it at Alabama.
Yes.
Um,
I think Bear Bryant has 1.
we never had one at Alabama until Saban.
I know Bear Bryant has 1 though. He has one. I think it was at A&M is when he had a
Well, like I
Heisman
said,
winner.
if we're using
No,
your rules,
no, I'm just
then
bringing up that he had a Heisman winner. I'm not saying that counts. I'm just
yeah.
bringing it up. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
No, I didn't know he had one at Texas A&M. I
Yeah.
didn't.
No, I was just bringing up the fact that he had 1.
Yeah. All right, so let's finally get back into talking about the CFP poll, the last one. At number 4, we had the AAC champ and the only undefeated team currently, Cincinnati. We have at number 3 the Southeastern Conference East champ, Georgia. At number 2, we had the Big Ten East and the Big Ten champ, Michigan. And then at number 1, we had the SEC West and SEC champ, Alabama.
See, we were talking about this the other day. They created this playoff to keep 2 SEC teams out of the national championship, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it happened again. I think what 2018.
Possibly.
It was either 17 or 18. Anyway, when Georgia and Alabama played, and then now it has a chance to happen for a third time in a decade.
And see, I don't agree with the rankings of the poll.
Yeah.
Um,
Personally,
I
I say
personally,
Cincinnati should be 1.
well, I've changed my mind about that.
Okay.
But I do believe Cincinnati should at least be number 3.
Okay.
Because, yes, they don't have a divisional championship in the AAC.
Okay.
But they have a conference championship, which is better than a division champ Georgia has. Not only that, but they're also undefeated, which Georgia isn't.
Yes.
And so, at least, at the minimum, put them at 3.
Yeah.
And then that way, you have Alabama, Georgia as a rematch. That will guarantee you only one SEC team.
But here's the thing: they're not going to do. See, that's what I wish they would have done, but I know they're not going to do that because they're not going to draw money if they do that.
Yeah, true.
And to quote Vince, you're gonna be like, "Where are you going with this?" But to quote Vince McMahon, "Draw me money."
Yeah.
You,
You're
you know what
right.
I'm saying? Like,
Because you would rather see Alabama, Georgia in the national championship.
than a Cincinnati, Georgia, or a Cincinnati, Alabama. Like I said, to quote Vince, "Draw me money."
You
And
right.
I hate to say that, but a Cincinnati national championship would not draw the audience
It wouldn't,
or
even
draw the
though it
merchandise
should,
sales.
because it's such a great underdog story.
Yeah,
But
I mean, tell me though, how weird is it? And anybody I could quote for what we're covering. That I covered Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I mean, but you got a point. It's all about cash at this point, and the only reason they put Cincinnati in is because they were the last undefeated team.
Not only that, I feel like there's two reasons that they put Cincinnati in. Okay, number one, obviously, like you just said, they're the only undefeated team left. Number two is to shut the AAC fans up.
Yeah, because if they would have
Because
been left out, then all the Group of Five conferences would be like, we need our own national championship.
because there was a guy, I think you sent this to me, where he was like, you know, now they can't complain.
Well, it's just like, if not now,
When?
exactly, what would a Group of Five team have to do?
Because if they would have put someone else in besides Cincinnati, it would have been, well, look, they're the only undefeated team, conference championship winners. They have a quality road win against a top 10 team, which is Notre Dame,
Yeah,
at Notre Dame. So, what more does the committee want? Because
and
then I
because
think
see,
they put Cincinnati in. That way, the Power Five, the what is it called? The
Group of Five.
Group of Five teams do not create their own national championship.
Because I feel like that was about to happen. Because if Cincinnati would have gotten pushed out for
That would
like
have
a
been that would have been what broke the camel's back.
yeah, because it's like, look, we tried 2 years with UCF and nothing.
And
Now
then
we have
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. All this within, I would say, 5 years of each other.
Yeah.
Like, if not now, when?
Like I
And
said, the if Cincinnati didn't get in, that would be the straw that broke the camel's back.
yep, and then you would have two different national champions. You would have a Group of Five national champion and a Power Five. And,
And
and at
you
this point, the AAC has built themselves so much as a conference that they're an unofficial member of the Power Five in my eyes.
yeah. I'll tell you right now, if the rest of college football would not like a group of five national championship game, because that would, I know I keep talking about this, but that would not draw money for the the Power Five.
Yeah, it
That
wouldn't.
because then you would look at it as, well, there's two national championship games.
Who's the real national champion?
Yeah, and here's the thing: in college football, you're gonna find this interesting. In college football, the NCAA does not recognize the national champion.
Yeah, which is extremely odd
They,
considering how much control they have over college football anyway.
yeah, with how much? Because you can sit here and tell me that basketball, it draws just as much numbers and money as the football does, whatever. But my point being, football will always be the cash cow for the NCAA.
I will give you that. They will.
Because that is because the reason I say that is that you have ticket sales, merch, bowl games. You have now student athletes doing NIL deals, and you have coaches and staff making a ton of money, and that all brings it into it. And I know that basketball, they make money too, but it's just now, you know, basketball is not going to be as big as football.
Yeah. And so I got a question, and I feel like this might be pettiness out of the committee.
Okay.
Do you think they fed Cincinnati to Alabama to utterly crush this rise of the AAC?
Honestly, I do because why
They're
not?
basically feeding Cincinnati to a very hungry wolf.
See, here's the thing. I disagree with that last statement because if they wanted to feed them to a very hungry wolf, they would have ranked them number 2 and fed them to Georgia.
Yeah,
Because
you
right
right.
now Georgia's hungry. They're
You right.
they're starving
But
for a
it's
win.
almost like the Power Five golden child of Alabama versus the group of five's chosen one,
Yeah. And I hate to
Cincinnati.
make this reference, but it's David versus Goliath, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
It's David versus Goliath, and I hate to say this, but David's not gonna win.
It's and here's the thing. Usually, I'm the type of person if Alabama loses, I know you're different about this, but for me, if Alabama loses, I usually root for the SEC as a conference because I
I
want
can't
the whole conference to be successful.
I can't root for a conference that has Tennessee in it. I won't do it.
But this year, if Alabama loses and Georgia wins, I'm rooting for Cincinnati.
If I'm gonna be honest, and you're gonna probably agree with me, I don't see Cincinnati beating Alabama.
Did you see Texas A&M beating Alabama?
I figured they had a chance.
Cincinnati has a chance.
I honestly do not think Cincinnati will beat Alabama. If they do, hey, they proved me wrong. But it's one of those things where if they beat them, I'm gonna root for them because I want Georgia to lose. But
Yeah, because I
if
feel
they if
Georgia is the chosen one of the committee.
if they beat Alabama, I think they could just not compete with Georgia.
Yeah. Like I
Uh,
said, if Alabama loses, I'm rooting for Cincinnati all the
Because
way.
they play Alabama, Cincinnati out in Arlington. Well, it's Dallas, but they're playing out in Arlington in the Cotton Bowl. And
Which
then,
honestly is Cincinnati's probably biggest crowd they've ever played against.
oh yeah, and then Georgia, Michigan at Miami. And then,
But
did you see where the Orange Bowl, which is where Georgia and Michigan is playing, sold out overnight?
oh wow.
Yeah, like it sold out quick.
So who do you think's going to who you think going to be in the national championship?
Honestly, I think it's going to be Georgia, Alabama.
I I think so as well.
Because,
I
like I said earlier, I made this point earlier. Georgia's a hungry wolf.
Yeah, because they
They're
had it. They had it. They only had to beat Alabama. They had it. They were locked in.
yeah. Here's the thing, and I will say this. I've said this a many a time, and you know it's true. One thing you never do is talk trash to Bama
Yeah, you don't want to make the list.
because my in the '93 championship game, Miami, all they did was talk, talk, talk. Alabama rolled in, blew them out.
Yeah, but you also got to understand the Miami team. Then that was their thing. Like they would roll up to championship dinners that the teams would have together in fatigues.
Yeah.
Like, they were very much into mind games.
Oh yeah. But don't crap talk Bama. They rolled in that game, blew them out. They rolled into many games where people's crap talk them and blew them out.
But yeah, I will agree with you. I think it'll be Alabama Georgia national championship, and that's gonna make the country mad. But you should blame the committee on that.
Do not blame Alabama or Georgia
or the conference. Blame the committee.
Exactly,
because they had a chance to rank it in a way to where it would force Alabama and Georgia to play in a playoff game.
Oh, let me find this real quick because this is not what I wanted to tell you, but it's something else I wanted to bring up. So JJ McCarthy, he's a player from Michigan. He's going to donate $10,000 of his NIL money to Children's Hospital and the Oxford School Fund.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I've seen that, and that's something else I wanted to bring up, and I just remembered it, to be honest.
That's real cool. Real classy.
Yeah. Also, it's been. Let me look it up because I thought I had it, but apparently I don't. I'm trying to. Okay, so Georgia, right, has not beat Alabama, Thomas. Do you want to guess the year? Last time Georgia beat Alabama in football.
1978.
No, it's actually more recent.
When?
2007.
Oh.
Nick Saban's first year. And you know what the score was?
What?
Very reminiscent of the championship game. 26-23.
Oh.
Yeah, the one with Tua is what I'm referencing.
Yeah.
So it's been 14 years since Georgia's beat Alabama in football.
Exactly. Well, everyone, we're going to ask you this question. Who do y'all think will win the playoffs and go into the national championship? Leave that comment there, and we'll read them on the next episode. Want more content from me and Randy? Go check us out on Twitch at Iceberg Gaming TTV and Itsktowngaming, where we stream multiple games live.
We're also on YouTube at Thomas RJ Engel and K-Town Gaming, where we play through games and have other content for you to enjoy. If you want to follow us on social media, all of them will be in the details of this episode. Support us at patreon.com/TRJI, where you can get our content first before anyone. If you are unable to invest in us monetarily, then you can by following, leaving reviews, chatting with us, liking, commenting, and sharing. Thank you for the support.
Thank you for listening to the Iceberg Lounge. Don't forget to give us a follow, leave us a review, and share this episode. Know God loves you, and we love you, and always remember, all to God. See you in the next episode.